Hey there, in this video I'm going to disassemble and reassemble both the ABUS 7240 and the ABUS 8145 padlocks, and we'll compare and contrast the similarities and the differences, and I'll show you a thing or two to watch out for in the 81. First we'll start with the 72. If you've never taken one of these apart before, you unlock it, you spin the shackle around, and then stick a screwdriver down in this hole, and you remove the screw, and your core comes out. And inside we can see it has some nice pretty guts, and to get them out, it's actually pretty simple. You just do that and everything comes right out. So what do we have? We have our shackle spring, couple ball bearings, got our actuator with a spring that's actually a nice self-contained unit, and then this keeps the plug from turning too far. So this is actually really a nice improvement over the 81. You can see it has this coil, or the spring coiled around, and it's able to, this collar spins, turns, and this nub is locked in position in the lock body, so the actuator turns underneath, and it builds and releases spring pressure. This little quarter circle is what interacts with the tailpiece on the lock core, so as you turn the key, the actuator turns. So to get it back together, it's pretty simple. You put your shackle spring back in. Shackle goes down in a locked position. You want a locked position because we're going to try to give these ball bearings a place to go. We're going to try and get them to drop into these little cutouts. So this is the trickiest part. Drop in your ball bearings, and then you want to push them into these little holes out of the way, and they'll tend to roll back out, so you have to be nice and steady. So this is a really nice thing. There's only one orientation. It just drops straight in. You put that little nub in the groove and in the cutout, and you're done. And now it's not going to come apart as long as you don't depress the shackle again. And if you weren't paying attention, this thing has two orientations. It's totally flat on this side. This is down. This goes against the actuator. And this is recessed a little bit. This is up. This faces you as it goes in. And it's nice that it's kind of thick. That way it doesn't flip over inside the lock body. It just slides straight down. And again, you get this in position. Drop it in. That's all there is to it. Put your core back in. If you've locked it, you just unlock with your key and put the screw back in, and you're done. So the 81, let's take a look at that. You can see this one's a little different. Look at them side by side. The actuator and the spring are not connected in the 81. They're two pieces, and they don't just slide straight down and fall into place in that little notch. You can see the 72 has that notch that fell right in. Here that's not cut out. There's actually a hole underneath that you need to stick the spring into. So let's go ahead and take this one apart. This one's similar. I lock it up, and then I like to use this pick. And now that it's been locked, you can see this is rotated and it's released the tension in the spring. So now you can pull it out. And once the spring's out, everything else is pretty much the same as before, except obviously these are not connected. So we have to worry about orientation, and we have to worry about manually winding the spring. So to put it back together, same thing. Hold the shackle in the closed position. Drop your 2 ball bearings in place and slide them in. This is going to be a little tricky filming. Because if I didn't have a camera, I would have the lock body straight up and down. It makes things a little simpler. One complicating factor, as you can see, is there's a bit of a ledge inside down at the bottom. That makes it so the actuator doesn't just slide down nice and easy. As you can see, as I'm wobbling this around talking, ball bearing came out. So you can either try and drop the actuator in and poke and prod at it, which I do sometimes, or you can try and use some needle nose pliers and lower that into place. Okay, so now I can release my hand that's keeping the shackle depressed. Now we have to find the correct orientation. To do that, we're going to use a plug follower, and we're going to rotate that actuator until it turns and the lock unlocks. And there we go. So now that's in a known position. We know exactly that the deep recess in the actuator is right here and the shallow one's right there. So now we need to just put the spring back in, and oh crap, which way did that spring go again? Did it go like that? Or did it go like that? I wasn't paying attention when it came out. It goes like this, okay? So the idea here is we're going to hook this inner piece, this inner end in around one of those things on the actuator, and when you rotate the actuator clockwise, it's going to coil up the spring, so it goes in like this. Here we need to manually insert this spring, so this end goes into that hole right there. So I like to use pliers, kind of enter it, get that thing down in there. Okay, so it's in, and I didn't push it all the way down. I still want the actuator to be able to rotate underneath that spring because we need to align it. So what we're going to do is we're going to rotate this counterclockwise so this part of the spring is hooked around here. So I've got to close the shackle in order for the actuator to turn freely. Okay, so spin that around. And now press your spring down. And we're basically done. So now we can again rotate this clockwise until it unlocks. Now when you look, you see that the spring is coiled around the actuator just as it was at the beginning of the video. So that's all there is to it. One thing you want to be careful about is now you don't want to just lock this right now without having a core inside. Otherwise you can get the spring and the actuator to kind of spin apart and you have to start over. So if you hit a lock right now, you can see it came unhooked and you just have to back up a couple steps. Sometimes I've had luck just sticking the follower in here and just rotating it around a couple times till it opens, and you can get lucky and it'll pop into the right position. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. The best way is just back up and start over. That time it worked. There you go. That's the easy way. Okay, I hope you found that video helpful, and happy picking.